NaLyssa, can you kind of put into perspective starting a new season with a new coach and sort of all the changes that took place in the offseason and just the way it felt to be out there today?
I feel like it feels good. Change isn't always bad. Change could be good. So I feel like a fresh start is good for everybody. You know, having Coach Nicki, having new players, it's gonna take a lot of adjusting. But I feel like at the end of the day, you know, we're built around adversity. So I feel like we'll be fine.
NaLyssa, only 9 players. You guys just got to make sure you stay healthy, that kind of thing, or how do you deal with only 9 players?
Like you said, just gotta stay healthy. Everybody gotta take care of their bodies. Like everything's a lot more serious this year because we don't have that many subs. So everybody just has to do their part, and I feel like we'll be fine.
Seems like the offense is a little different than years past. Do you kind of like this new, I guess, more of a pro style approach on offense?
Absolutely. I love that we spread the floor a lot more now. A lot of people really don't have roles on like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 type roles. So it's like if you could handle the ball, she's gonna put you on the wing. If you could post up, we'll throw somebody down there. So I feel like just having like that pro mindset, it'll help you like get a closer look on the league. So I feel like that'll help us a lot more this year.
Do you feel like for you personally it fits your game better?
Absolutely. I've been wanting to expand my game for a long time now. So I feel like with Coach Nicki, I'll be able to do that.
Jordan, today was kind of just a transition from one part of preseason to another, I guess, because you guys have been working out. What was the biggest difference between what you had been doing and what you did today?
I really don't think there was that much of a difference. I think Coach Nicki did a good job of kind of like putting things in one by one and not throwing it all at us at one time. And so like starting out with 2-on-2 in the summer the first couple weeks, then moving to 3-on-3, then 4-on-4. And like as you guys saw today, we were 5-on-5 against our practice players. And so I think she's done a good job of putting the stepping stones in place for like what she wants and the foundation, like where we need to start.
Jordan, first off, that was much better than just check. That was that was really good. How do you feel like you have kind of fit in and meshed with the rest of the team?
Just kind of like NaLyssa was saying, like we've really like wanted, I think everyone wanted to expand their games. Like that's one of the reasons I came here is to have that pro mindset and be able to expand your game more beyond. And I think just playing with each other, like we all have a like high like motor. We want to be competitive. And so I think just like the team and all is like buying into the new system and everything that Coach Nicki wants to do.
How would you describe her as a coach on the floor during practice?
I would definitely say she's a player's coach. You can definitely tell that she's very like interactive with you. And I mean, on other days, like she'll come in our workouts and work out with us. She'll guard us. Like she's very hands-on, and I think that's very helpful because sometimes like not everybody's just a learner where you can say things. Like she's gonna show you how to do it in the way she wants it. And so like I think she puts us first before herself and like everything. So I think it's good.
Now listen, some of the stuff that y'all have done, have you kind of seen that competitive side?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. We compete every day. Sometimes a little bit too much because sometimes we forget we teammates. So I feel like we compete a lot, and that'll help a lot during the season too. And Nicki too. Coach Nicki, she's a real competitive coach. So I feel like that's all gonna be good for us.
NaLyssa, with the decision made to change the branding from Lady Bears to Bears, what was your reaction to that? And do you have kind of a response to it?
I feel like a name doesn't really define us. Like, at the end of the day, we're here to play basketball no matter what's on our chest, what's on the back of our jersey. Like, we're just here to play basketball at the end of the day.
Anybody else?
What's NaLyssa, with all the changes stuff, does the standard or the goals or whatever change? What are your expectations for this team?
We're all here to win a national championship at the end of the day. So I feel like all the changes aren't really like gonna affect us drastically. Like we're here to play basketball. So at the end of the day, we all trying to get a natty. So that's our biggest goal.
Nicki, just first day, although you've been having workouts, but what was, anything changed on the first day in terms of intensity level or atmosphere?
I think that, I think the first day of summer, they were super energetic. I think the first day of fall workouts, they were super energetic. But I think there's a different energy in the air when you start counting down and hey, we have 30 practices before we play our first game. So I think they were ready for that. I mean, I definitely felt that. I thought they executed as well as they have. for sure when we got to 5-on-5. And, this is a team that really doesn't take possessions off. And so we actually get a lot out of drill work, where sometimes that's hard to pull effort out of. So, just really proud of kind of the effort they gave, because when you go from never going more than an hour to all of a sudden going 3 hours, like that's a strain mentally and physically. So, I heard Jeremy saying, I think they like tripled any output they've had for any day based on, their heart rate monitors. So that's a big deal.
Nicki, 9 players. I know you tried to get more. Maybe you're. I don't know if you're still doing the walk-on tryouts or what. But how do you do that? How do you get through a season with 9 players?
I mean, you saw them. We have a big group of guys, So, I mean, we're going to rely on those guys all season long to keep us fresh. So, I mean, if you have 12 players and you're constantly playing against one another, then you only got 1 sub on either team anyway. When we're going consistently against the guys, it means we've got 4 subs. So, I mean, the guys are gonna keep us fresh and really play into the recovery component. I think the other part of it is, I mean, I'm coming from a league that played, 5 games in 9 days, and we once played 6 and 9 with a back-to-back. So, the reality is you can recover at the collegiate level. Games don't come that fast and furious, except like when we're in Cancun and we play three in a row. And so I think we're going to have to really understand minutes and how to sub. And quite frankly, maybe even how I use my timeouts, and not save them and truly use them for rest. But, I think if you look at any good team in the country who plays more than 8 players, I mean, or maybe a 9th situationally. So I think what it does is it creates a camaraderie among the team, knowing that, hey, we're all important. We're all going to have a role. We all have to be ready. There's no one that's just there to give people towels when they check out of the game, because if someone's checking out of the game, someone's checking in. So I think they're embracing that, and I think in some ways it's hard to keep 12 and 13 players happy. So, it's a little easier for me to keep everybody happy. So, and we're going to work out a potential walk-on just to get to 10. I think 10's a more workable number, just because when we go on the road, always having the ability to, even if we're just walking through, having 2 teams. So 10 would be a better number, but certainly I love the 9 we have. I mean, I'm just a big believer in positive energy. I think positive energy is contagious, just as negative energy is. And so, I love my job. I love to step out on the court. I'm going to smile a lot. I'm going to, if anything, they have to understand pretty quickly, I'm going to be sarcastic. So you kind of have to understand that from me, that's lighthearted and that beats maybe, I told them I never want them to do something right out of fear. I want them to do something right because that's the expectation, because they want to be great, because they want to pick up a teammate. So, we've spent all fall really talking about, how are we going to encourage one another? Let the coaches coach. Doesn't mean that a player can't hold another player accountable, but there's a right way to do it. And I think that's the environment we want to create, where they're competing and there's no fear. There's no fear of failure. There's no fear of mistakes, because look, they're all learning. This isn't a situation where we have a bunch of seniors who are used to the system. I mean, they're freshmen in some ways in terms of what we're doing and learning why. And I think that's the big component to it. It's learning why. And I'm just a big believer in that. I'm a big believer in teaching the game and getting them to understand why we do what we do. Why does a drag screen work? Why does a step up work? Where is the spacing? Where is the opening? And why? And who's helping on the roll? Not just to run from A to B and B to C and throw the ball into the post. And so it's new for all of them.
Is there anyone in particular that you would say has shown improvement from when you got on campus to today?
Yeah, I mean, I think a little bit of everyone, to be quite frank. But I also think that, I just wish I could have gotten my hands on Queen her freshman year, because, her growth on the perimeter, her ability. I mean, if people would have seen her in June try to shoot threes, you just would have said, why are you trying so hard, to have her shoot them? And, but confidence is a beautiful thing. And if you have good shot prep and and someone believes in your ability, by the time July was coming, she was calling game on threes, so I think she's made a big improvement in learning how to play. I think that, we've got the new pieces, the Jamie and Jordan. Jordan's she just knows how to play. I mean, she's just, 6-year senior, and it shows. So she can clip along and let people do their things. But when I call a play up for her, I think she made every shot when I dialed up a play for her. So, but I think the player that I'm excited about seeing her develop is Sarah Andrews. I think people got glimpses maybe of what she could do, but she's really, really good with the ball in her hands in terms of not just creating for herself but her teammates, and she can really shoot it. So I think she has a chance to really be a different player than what Baylor fans saw a year ago.
How much when you're going over the offense you're trying to have them run, do you turn on WNBA games and just this is what we're trying to do?
Yeah, we've done that a lot, actually. I mean, I don't have any teaching tape, in terms of, having coached at the college game. Certainly, maybe if I had been coaching at the college level, I would have had game film from there. But I think how we're playing is very pro style. So pulling stuff, look, in the W, when I first got to the W and we were putting stuff in, we showed them a ton of Toronto Raptors stuff. We pulled stuff from them. I'm constantly studying the game and figuring out what would work for us. Not everything works. If I never had Jokic, when I was in the WNBA, so I don't have a point center when I was in the W. So what would work? What would translate? And so I think there's a lot of things that you have to figure out what translates for this team. So it's really about player personnel, but we've done a lot of that in terms of showing what a good drag screen looks like. And, it might have been my team in Atlanta, but we showed clips of Sloot, playing with Candace Parker, talk about great two-man action. Those guys are as good as anybody. And so, we've pulled a lot of stuff from WNBA games, even from a recruiting perspective in terms of showing them how we might utilize somebody, if they were here, types of actions, that type of thing.
What kind of expectations do you have for NaLyssa this season?
I mean, obviously for her, it's it just is she. I want to see her be able to continue to develop her game. I think that my job is to not make her the number one pick. My job is to win basketball games here. I think the style of offense we play will allow her to showcase why she could be, the number one pick. And so, it just comes down to, does she begin to show that she can hit that pick and pop three, that transition trail three? Can she play into ball screens and separate? Can she show that she can slip and play into open space? And when she puts the ball on the floor, does she make the extra pass? I've spent 2 days talking on the Texas tour, and I said, you'll know we're playing the way that we have full buy-in when NaLyssa turns down a contested shot and gets Jordan Lewis an open three, and that's not to say Lyssa's selfish. It's just, she's used to, I've got the ball in my hand and I'm 5 feet from the rim. I'm going to try to score, draw a foul. But I think, where her growth comes in is can she get 4 assists a game? Can she get 3.5 assists a game, so that when she touches the paint, it's not shot, foul, or offensive foul, that she's really learning to read the D. And when it's collapsing, she trusts that Jordan and Sarah and Jamie are going to knock down threes out there, or that next action, that she'll hit Queen in a short corner when Queen's defender rotates. So, I think it's a little bit of everything, but I think she's got to grow in terms of what does she do with the ball in her hands when she's not 2 feet from the basket.
On that Texas tour, did you have a lot of dialogue with fans? Did they ask about taking Lady Bears out of the rotation and just going with Bears?
You are the first, actually. No, nobody asked me about that. Maybe they wanted to and were afraid to. I don't know. I just think that's part of truly being a part of a department. I mean, we were the only team that was still carrying the Lady Bear name. It's certainly going to be a huge part of our history, and we're not shying away from that. But I think aligning ourselves with the athletic department, and I've watched, look, I was a part of that changing in Arkansas. I mean, we had split departments, the departments merged, and the lady backs, became the Razorbacks. I mean, there's no gender in a bear. So to me, it's, we want to, kind of be a part of the athletic department. So, this wasn't a me thing. It wasn't it was just, for us, it was time. So I'm just excited, one way or the other. I mean, we're always going to celebrate the history here and embrace that. And, but at the same time, it's, we're at that point where we have a chance to kind of create something new going forward.
Nicki, it's obviously your style of play. It's what you play. Are you confident that pro style will translate to college?
I am 100% confident in that. Certainly, there are growing pains and just changing, and all these players learning something new. But there's a reason why the NBA does what they do. I mean, there's the WNBA steals stuff from the NBA, that steals stuff from Europe. None of us are creating something new, but why, when you take the best athletes in the world, you figure out what gives you the best chance to score, and what's the hardest thing to defend. Part of over the years being a defensive coordinator, whether it was in college in the SEC or the pros in Connecticut, was, understanding what the hardest thing was to guard consistently well and saying, well, if that's hard to guard, I should be doing that offensively because I know it's hard to guard, and that's how my mind works. And so, I think a lot of the things we do are simply hard to guard because of spacing. If you can create great spacing, which, you have to have shooters and people that can create space, but if you have the right personnel, I think there's no doubt it can be successful because you just put the defense in a predicament where how good are they going to be at the point of attack, and then once they start rotating, do you do a good job of going from good to great? Do you pass up a good shot to get a great shot? And that's what's important to us. Are we getting great shots? And I know. I mean, the guys didn't have a game plan against us, and I'm not suggesting that was UConn out there. But I think you could see as you were watching how effective it could be because the ball moved and the ball went to open players and we had open players knock down shots. So, I think the key is there's no reason to take contested shots. I mean, you have the ability to create open shots on every possession. So, why not?
At this point, how much do you talk about season expectations or how much you just try to focus on preparing for that first game?
I don't know that we're doing either right now. I think we're not shying away from saying this is a championship program, and we're always going to expect to compete for championships. We talk a lot about keeping the main thing, and that being basketball in general. But I think right now it's cliche-ish as it sounds. It's about the process. It's about trusting the process. It's about showing up each day. I mean, our personal team motto is greater than. So, are we greater tomorrow than we were today? Are we greater in the classroom each day? Are we greater, in the community? Just kind of keeping that whole idea of being greater than. And so, there's not a let's talk about Final Fours, or we have unfinished business, or we're talking about new beginnings and how we can get better. And so if we get better each and every day, then those things will take care of themselves. And so, that's what I'm doing. I'm going to look at today's practice and say, what did we do well? What do we have to clean up? And kind of move forward and build off today to be better tomorrow.